everyone, so this video is going to be my end of March updates. So last weekend we had our annual show and sale where I volunteered and I received these plants. So the two on the right I purchased and the two on the left are basically perks for volunteering. So I got those two for free. So this one is Cattleya schilleriana. I had one before and it died. This one is from Paramount, so they're a bit more local, so I'm hoping this one will do a lot better. And this one is Cycnoches peruvianum. If you've seen my other video, I've had this before, so this is a replacement. If you look at the bottom, it is a bit brown, but it's not mushy. It's quite firm actually, so I think this will have a better chance. You can see the leaves are dying, and I think it's because of the change in climate. So this one I got from Ecuador, so I think it was starting to go into dormancy, and it's pushing something out here. So I'm hoping it will have a short dormancy and then wake up quickly. And this one is Cattleya Tangerine Fire Mini Sun. It's from Tsinghua. Very cute. It opened pretty recently, and I haven't really potted it up properly yet. And this one is CTT Little Hazel M. There are two buds inside, and this one has red flowers. I'm not sure if I really want both, so I'm gonna let them bloom and then I'll see which one I want to keep. I may want to keep both, but I'm just planning to keep only one, just due to the amount of space I have. And this is Paraphalaenopis labukensis crossed with Seidenfedenia mitrata, and its new growth is doing well. There was a growth here that I think it was rotting, so I removed it, and the plant seems fine so far. And this is Coryanthes schmidtii, and it's pushing out a new growth. The other new growth on it is doing pretty well, so that's awesome. This is Cattleya amazonica, and I believe it had started to push out a new growth at the bottom there, but it has since stopped. So what I did was I just added a little bit of water at the bottom for extra humidity. And this is Galeandra bauerii, and it's just starting to break dormancy. And this is my Cattleya Durigan. So this was the latest growth, but basically this pseudobulb had rotted, so it's not doing too well. Actually, even the old pseudobulbs are pretty wrinkled, so I'm probably just gonna throw this away. This is Dendrobium tobaense, and it's lost quite a few leaves. I think it probably has a spider mite issue, so I need to spray this down. And this is Cattleya dormaniana, and it's pushing two growths, one on each side, so it's doing really well. And this is Vanda Perez, and that's my Rhynchorides Bangkok sunset. I removed the moss because I was intending to replace it, but I'm wondering if I should just use bark instead. If you can see in this one, there's actually not a lot of roots inside the pot here, which makes sense why the moss stayed wet for a lot longer, as opposed to the Bangkok sunset where it has lots of roots inside. I also cut some brown spots from the leaves on my Bangkok sunset. So this is my Phal fimbriata. You can see the new spike is growing nicely, and then the spike on the right has decided to split into two. This is my Chysis aurea, and you can see it has a spike with several buds on it, so that's super exciting. The new growth at the bottom there is a bit wonky because of the pot, so I might just cut out a piece there just so it's a bit more okay. But I'm very excited for the blooms on this. And this is my Vanda pumilla, and the spikes are still there, and they're still green, so it's coming slow. And this is my Vanda labukensis. It's losing that bottom leaf, but it is pushing out a new root tip from the stem here, and it's a pretty beefy root, and also there's new root tips at the bottom, so this plant seems to be doing well. And this is LC Mini Purple. I think at one point I said I was going to repot it, but I just didn't. It needs to be in a bigger pot, but bigger pots tend to be also deeper pots, which I don't want. So I'm just gonna leave it as it is. You can see these roots are very long. I mean, the plant itself seems fine. I think maybe at some point I might just cut this part off, but I think there's a new growth coming here, so I don't want to do that now. And this is Dendrobium Cattlianthe, and it has a lot of little growths on this growth here. And this is my Cattleya gladiatorium crossed with barbatum. So I had initially repotted this in a very tall pot, which is basically a bubble tea container. But anyway, I didn't really want a super tall pot because if it needs to be bigger, it's very difficult to find. And also I just didn't like how tall it was, even though it was practical in terms of the reservoir. So I've decided to go with this. And basically my plan is for it to be semi-hydro, but this container will act as a reservoir. It's not very tall, but it's very wide, so it can hold a lot of water. And I'm hoping that will improve the next growth. And you can see it's just breaking dormancy here. I did add a little bit of water, not through the pot, just here for extra humidity. And I did the same thing with my Cloecia Rebecca Northern. One of the driving factors was, so there's a lady in the society that has a division of this plant, and her plant is super huge, and she had like 11 spikes on it. So I'm kind of following her lead here. She basically had a pot with some holes and then a reservoir like this, as opposed to the typical like semi-hydro reservoir. The only difference is I didn't add any holes, only because I know my place gets very hot, so I'm just worried that it'll dry out, but setup is more or less the same. And this is my Cattleya mossiae. So I have two growths that have sheaths that haven't dried out yet, so I'm really hoping I can get spikes on it, but we'll see. And this is my Rudolphia saxicola, and it's pushing out a new growth there. And this is my Dendrobium igneonivium, and it has a new growth, and that new growth is doing very well, which is awesome. This is my LC Supersonic Striking Lip, and it has a new growth starting. And this is my Dendrobium draconis. So previously I had a larger plant with a keiki and then a new growth at the bottom. So that new growth had rotted, and I had to repot the keiki. I just want to do something different, so the bottom part is lava rock and this part is moss. It's a little dry, it needs to be watered, but we'll see how that goes. This is my Paraphalaenopis leikokii. It's not looking too good, even though I have it in this container of damp moss with a perforated plastic bag on top. It's not quite dying yet, but I mean, if there's no new root growth, that's a problem. And that's the thing that concerns me. So I'm really kind of praying to the orchid gods here. I just want this to survive. And this is my Dendrobium balaculum. It was actually in bud when I brought it to the show, and I was hoping it would open during the show, but unfortunately it opened after they did the judging, so I wasn't able to win anything. I mean, not sure if I would actually win anything, but that opportunity wasn't there. But regardless, it is looking super cute. I think what I want is, this plant always blooms for me, but this one hasn't bloomed for me yet, so I like this one to bloom. This is my Rhynanthera monachica, and it bloomed for me. Some of the blooms are dying, but these ones are still fresh, and there's a bit more to come. Now, my issue is with the top part of the plant. You can see it's quite spotted. It was spotted at these other leaves, which I had cut off, but it's happening on even the new leaf as well, so I'm wondering if I should just cut off the crown and hopefully it creates an offshoot. Not sure yet. And this is my Brassavola cucullata red form, and it's pushed out this new growth, which is great. And this is my Dendrobium lowii. Part of me thinks I should probably move this into a smaller pot, but I also just don't want to disturb it, so I think I might just leave it as it is for now. This is my Bophyllum Princess Bajaratana, and it's pushing out a new growth at the bottom. And this is my Bophyllum Sanguineo Punctatum, and it's also pushing out a new growth. Alright, and this is the keiki of my Ascocentrum guga, and it's pushed out a new root tip and a new leaf in the middle. So this is recovering well. And this is my Vanda denisoniana. I think I might add some lava rock or something inside, maybe bark actually, just so there's more humidity throughout the week. And this is my Vanda tricolor. It's doing very well. I'm thinking about moving this into a slightly bigger container. This is my Plantantheria tenoglossum, and it has a spike with 2 buds on it. This is my Vanda ceruleans, and it has pushed out a new spike, so that's awesome. This one's starting to die off. This is my Path Emersonii, and it's pushing out a new leaf. And this is my Dendrobium moschatum pink, and it's pushing out a new growth. This is my Papilioanthe taiwaniana, and I believe that is a flower spike. And last but not least, this is my Mormones rosea. And I decided at this point that I should water it, so I gave it its first watering last week. Alrighty, so that's my video for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!